Summer League is here. So what do the Magic need to see from the three key players? We'll talk about storylines for Tristan Da Silva, Anthony Black, and Jett Howard. As the Magic get set to go to Vegas, it's time for Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 9th. It will be July 10th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, it's time for Summer League. So let's talk Tristan Da Silva, Anthony Black, and Jett Howard, what they have to prove over the next weekend. Let's be real. They're going to play 2 games probably. What they have to prove out in Las Vegas as the Magic get set for their Summer League action. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Summer League is officially here. We got the chance to talk to the Magic Summer Leaguers over on Monday before they get ready to go to Vegas. And we'll break down the games. Magic open the very first game of Summer League Friday, so we will have a full report from that game coming up Friday. We'll do a full episode. We'll back to kind of game episodes here. We're not going to skip steps here in the process. We will treat these like relatively normal games. They're obviously not quite normal, but this is our first opportunity to see Tristan Da Silva. And obviously we've talked a lot about him. The draft was only a few weeks ago. And in reality, this is our first introduction to him. Yes, I am sure we have poured over all the YouTube highlights of Tristan Da Silva. We have broken down his game. We've thought about how he's going to fit into the puzzle and fit into this team. But there's obviously more to it than that. There's obviously more work to do. There's obviously a lot more about this. And we don't know how he's going to fit or what he's even going to look like in the NBA. And look, this week in Las Vegas, or this next set of games in Las Vegas, is not going to tell us, it's not going to help us make any final conclusions. I often tell people this about Vegas and about Summer League. You don't find out who can play, you find out who can't play. And, Magic Summer League coach Lionel Chalmers said it pretty well about the Magic's players. I just want them to be themselves, be leaders, get your work in, but I'm not looking for them to do anything different or anything expansive. I want our players to be themselves. And that is an important point. To a certain extent, you are just hooping. As Anthony Black said, he's looking forward to going up against some competition. They've just been working in the gym for the last 2 months now since the season ended. Everyone's eager to try and play a little bit, to get those competitive juices flowing just a little bit. We'll get to what Anthony Black and Jett Howard have to do coming up here in a minute. But for Tristan Da Silva, what this week represents is an introduction to Magic basketball. It's an introduction to the basics of who the Orlando Magic are. Now, we of course know who they are. We'll talk about Jett Howard here in a minute, but this is a defensive team. This is a team that expects you to put in a full effort, a full 48-minute effort, in this case, a 40-minute effort when you're on the floor. They expect you to commit on the defensive end, play for each other, play as a team, to learn from your mistakes and evolve as the game goes on. That is part of who this team is. And what the Magic are doing here, and where the Magic start, is with this. They want to introduce Tristan Da Silva to who the Magic are. And that's why the practices are just as important as the games. But the Magic want Da Silva to get his feet wet, to begin to understand how the Magic operate, who the Magic are, and what will lead to their success. This is the goal of Summer League. And it's a goal for every rookie. You could probably go back a year. I probably am saying the same thing about Anthony Black and Jett Howard's rookie year. Yes, we want them to play well. We, of course, want to see them perform well. But at the end of the day, this is their introduction. They're on the roster. Tristan Da Silva signed a contract. He's got a guaranteed 2-year deal with team options on the 3rd and 4th year. He'll be in training camp in September. That part's in stone. But what the Magic want to see, and what we need to see, is Tristan Da Silva begin to learn how the Magic operate. And that's why having a staff that's obviously comprised of regular Magic coaches, that's why having that staff begin to teach the Magic way is so vital. Look, we know that Tristan Da Silva is a smart player. That's something the Magic value and the Magic want to have too. He knows, he said the way he plays, what he wants to show is that team first mentality, making the right plays, making the smart play. That's who he is. And that's why we all feel like Da Silva is going to fit right in. That Da Silva is going to be a great piece for this Magic team and someone who's going to make a difference. Now, obviously, we got to see him perform. We got to see him, what he looks like integrated with the group. But for now, it's about getting down these basics. It's about getting that jump start for September, because guess what? The Magic aren't waiting for rookies anymore. That was evident last year. The Magic are a winning team now. We got to change our mindset about these rookies. I think still a lot of fans are having trouble with that because we've just been in this ringer for so long. And yes, the Magic are still a developmental outfit. They want to give young players their opportunities and a chance to grow, but we're trying to win. And so you got to show us that you can help this team win. And the only way Da Silva is going to be able to do that is if he gets the basics down now. The basics that are being taught here in Summer League, the basics that he's expected to show us during the games that start Friday. This is what is on the line for the Magic. This is what the Magic want to see from their rookie. Because this is about the base foundation of what the Magic are trying to do. That's what the Magic want to see from all these guys. We're going to talk a little bit more about what the Magic are hoping to see from Anthony Black and really what Anthony Black is hoping to see from himself, as well as Jett Howard, because there is a lot on the line for the Magic's foundational players, or the 3 players that we care about here in Summer League. The 3 players that we care about seeing in this competition. Like, no offense to the other guys. I have my names. I think Thursday will probably Friday's episode, Thursday for Friday. Get my days confused. Thursday for Friday, I'll probably go over some of the names to look at deeper into the Magic's Summer League roster, but there are 3 guys that we really care about. No offense to Teo Maledon, to Tyler, to Jay Hoff, to Xavier Moon, to Jared Culver. No offense to those guys. We're here to see Tristan Da Silva. We're here to see Anthony Black. We're here to see Jett Howard. And the foundation that gets laid this week and this month, that's going to carry them into what everyone hopes are rotation roles for these players. So what do we want to see from Anthony Black and Jett Howard? I'm glad you asked. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Look, it is summer. There are still plenty of events going on here in Orlando. There's a big concert on Wednesday tonight over at Camping World Stadium. I have seen Journey and Cheap Trick before. It was actually almost 15 years ago now. They rocked then. I'm sure they rock now. So if you're going to that big concert tonight, kudos to you. If you don't have your tickets yet for the concert, I've got your way in. That's Game Time with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to any event, whether it's concerts, whether it's shows, whether it's sporting events, MLB, WWE, MLS, NWSL, whatever it is. If you're trying to go to Summer League, Game Time is your ticket to the game. With Game Time, you get last-minute deals that help you save up to 60% off buying last-minute seats for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With flash deals, you save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And with zone deals, you save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. For your next listen, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. Get the biggest stories in the sports world 24/7 from the local experts who know their team best. Yes, the national shows might increase the volume and shout their opinions louder at you, but they don't know. They don't follow these teams religiously. That's what the Locked On Podcast Network does. And on Locked On Sports Today, you get the best of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus the local analysis and expert analysis from local experts who know their team best. Check out Locked On Sports Today, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. When it comes to sophomore players, we expect them to be a little seasoned. No doubt, it's always concerning when a second-year player who's coming to Summer League for the second time does not look the part. No doubt that is always concerning. If a guy who has done this before doesn't look like he's done this before, that's kind of the hard truth of this thing. We do expect Anthony Black and Jett Howard, who both looked good in Summer League last year, by the way, to look comfortable, to look like the adults in the room. And at least judging by how they talk to the media, both have grown up a lot. I would love to be able to show these guys how they spoke to us a year ago to how they spoke to us now. They're very different, much more confident players, confident people, confident young men. They're maturing and they're growing up. AB, if you did see the video on the Orlando Magic's Twitter account, we were all there. This team is still young. They like to kid around. But there is some serious work that the Magic do need to see from Anthony Black, because as the roster stands now, there is a lot being asked of Anthony Black. I wouldn't say the whole season turns on this, but the Magic right now are going into the season with Anthony Black as their backup point guard. And while he played very well in long stretches last year, and I think it is fair to say that he did deserve to get some playoff minutes and deserve to get some seasoning on that front. And the Magic did not deliver that. I think it's perfectly fair to say that Anthony Black is a rotation level player at this point. But that doesn't mean there's not areas where he has to improve. And we asked him like what he hopes to get out of Summer League this time around. This will probably be his last Summer League. Hopefully it's his last Summer League. If it's not his last Summer League, we got problems. But he said what the Magic want to see from him is to be more aggressive, to take on a little bit more of that point guard role that he really didn't do his rookie season. For long stretches, he was kind of the nominal point guard. He played. We all know he can defend. No one's doubting that he's going to defend at a high level. And whichever guard he goes up against, he's going to make that guard's life miserable. And we want to see that. That's the kind of leadership you want to see in the Summer League setting. But what Anthony Black wants to show is a little bit more aggression. To be able to get downhill and get to the paint a little bit more in a way that he didn't last year. This is the truth. This is the truth of it. Like, just look at the numbers. 4.6 points per game. 46.6% shooting, 39.4% from three, only 3.6 field goal attempts per game and 16.9 minutes per game, only 1.3 assists per game. I point this out too. He had a usage rate of 12.7%. That's essentially, when he was on the floor, only 12% of possessions ended with him. That's a shot, that's a turnover, that's a free throw. This is not a player who was super aggressive. And the frustrating thing, I think, about his rookie year, and I share this frustration too, he did not look like a point guard. The Magic did not use him like a point guard. Instead, the Magic just kind of had him out there. And so, whether that was because he was a rookie and they really wanted to narrow his role and say, hey, just focus on defense, spot up shooting, all that, and his shots come a long way, by the way. You look at a summer league compared to where he was last year, I'm really excited to see him shoot this time around because, he's been working all summer on that. Anthony Black was just kind of on the floor. He was, I joke about this, love you to death, Mo Harkless. He was just doing Harkless cuts, standing in the corner, out of the way, look for your opportunity to cut, take an open three when the ball swings to you. That was his role. And so if the Magic were a little hesitant to pull the trigger on him in the playoffs, it's because he didn't give him a lot to do. Well, now they are. Now they've got to know if they need to use that last roster spot on a point guard, on a veteran point guard perhaps. If there is the potential for the Magic to still do something, and I don't think they will, but if the Magic still need to do something, it's going to be because they're not sure if Anthony Black can fill the role they have imagined for him. And that is, again, to be the backup point guard. That is what the Magic are intending here. And so Black has to show us that he can be aggressive, that he can get downhill and create. I want to see that assist number up. 4 or 5 assists would be awesome. 6 or 7 would be better. The scoring is whatever. I'd like to see him score. I think we're all comfortable to say that he could score at that level. But I want to see him be a creator. I want to see him be a leader. I want to see him be a floor manager. He's right. He needs to show that he can turn that aggression back on, that he can get back to being the player he was at Arkansas. When we talked to Black on Monday, he said it repeatedly. I want to get back to being the player that I was. Like he wasn't playing the Anthony Black role last year. Well, now the Magic need to see that. Now the Magic need to see him become the player that they drafted. If you're sitting there saying, this is exactly what I've been saying, I agree with you guys. Anthony Black showed us a lot of what he can do at Arkansas. And the Magic did not use him that way. The Magic did not let go of the reins on their rookie. So maybe a theme throughout all of last season. So the Magic need to see Anthony Black get aggressive. They need to see him push the pace. They need to see him be the assertive one if they want to get the most out of Summer League. And that's what we will see if he turns up or if he plays like this week in Vegas. The most intriguing man on the Magic Summer League roster, the one that could be the biggest swing for the Orlando Magic, is Jett Howard. We'll talk about what he is looking to accomplish coming up here in just a moment. I still get a lot of questions about Jett Howard. And there's still a lot of like wide-ranging opinions on Jett Howard. So I want to repeat this part of the puzzle and repeat this line. You don't draft rookies for their rookie year. You get 2 years, you get 4 years with a first-round pick. And ultimately, you are hoping to get whatever you can out of a rookie. Rookies are bad. Like, remember that. Like, Paolo Banchero as a rookie is the worst he will ever be. You hope that. Rookies are almost always terrible. They don't know what they're doing. They run into the rookie wall. They're bad. you're not drafting, you hope to get whatever you can out of a rookie. Like obviously Paolo had a great rookie year, but and for his, like I remember watching Paolo in his first summer league game and him having that big first half against the Rockets. And I said to myself, I think I was watching from home here. And I literally said to myself at halftime, we're done here. We don't need to see any more Paolo. Like he's ready. He's good. Obviously then we would have been robbed of that great game against Sacramento in the second summer league game, but that's the legend of Paolo. Rookies are bad though. And so a lot of people not being deprived of Jett Howard in his rookie year because he played only like 60 minutes total, appeared in 18 games for the Magic. He did not play his rookie year. It's not even worth telling you what his stats were with the Orlando Magic because he didn't play. I think he played meaningful minutes just once in his career, and that was against the Clippers on Halloween. Like he did not play any minutes that meant anything. I think he shot like 8 for 27 from 3. He got him up. Like he'll shoot. We know that. And so we all have to ask ourselves, okay, Jett Howard got a gap year in the G League. Now he's back with the Orlando Magic. Now he's back with the main roster. And the expectation is that he will stay with the main roster, that he will be in the mix and a player the Magic will lean on. The question is then, how does he get minutes? What do the Magic have in him, number one? But how does he get minutes? Look, I'll tell you this. When we met Jett Howard last year, we could not get a word out of him media-wise. And look, I know people don't care. Like I generally operate under the assumption people don't care about how the sausage gets made and how the media operates. But I'm telling you this because I do think it is emblematic of something because and I see this all the time with young players, especially that first year, 18, 19 years old, you're in the NBA, you got a bunch of microphones in front of you, you're shy. And that's okay. Like we're not like, especially us here in Orlando, we're not out here to bite you. We don't want to hurt you. We got questions we got to ask, but we're not here to harm you. But you're shy. And I get that. It's weird. Media gaggles are really weird. All of us in new situations are probably going to be a little shy and a little bit hesitant to interact. I will say this, and I would agree about this, and like Tristan Da Silva, I would say a 23-year-old went to a big school at Colorado. He's probably been in the media spotlight a little bit in Boulder, carries himself much differently than 18-year-olds do. Like I joke with people like, look, Anthony Black is still very much a child. Tristan Da Silva carries himself much more mature. He's a little bit more grown up. But I would say this, Jett Howard, especially, we could not get Jett Howard to say a word when we talked to him at Summer League last year. This year, he felt much more confident and much more at ease with where he's at. And that may not matter, but I don't think it doesn't not matter if that double negative makes sense. Jett Howard understands who he is as a player more, understands the whole Summer League process, and understands what he has to do to get on the floor. Look, Jett Howard's summer stats last year in the G League were excellent. 18.5 points per game and 31.9 minutes per game. Shot 37.7% from 3 on 9.5 attempts per game. It's worth noting his true shooting percentage, which takes into account points, which takes into account three-pointers, which takes into account free throws. His true shooting percentage last year was 59.8%. Usually a 60% true shooting percentage is considered you're an elite shooter. Jett Howard can get shots up. We know that. We know he's not afraid to shoot. That's why the Magic drafted him. I have no doubt he will be able to shoot effectively in the NBA when given the opportunity. He's got a quick release. He's going to get better on that front. But Jett Howard knows that his ticket to get on the floor, the biggest reason the Magic probably had him in the G League to begin with, the thing that he had to learn is how to defend. You don't play for the Orlando Magic if you don't defend. That's why we're not talking about Anthony Simons. That's why we're not talking about Tyus Jones. That's why we're not talking about D'Angelo Russell or any number of big-name players and big-time scorers that Magic fans were targeting and really wanted in free agency. It's why we're talking about a lot of the same roster. It's why we talk about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. This team, their identity is defense. And if you don't defend, you're not going to play. And that was one of the big weaknesses for Jett Howard in college at Michigan. And look, the G League is the G League. It is not a defensive league. As much as the Osceola Magic probably try to defend, probably try to maintain the same defensive principles as the parent club, it's going to be hard to be able to say, well, does defense translate? Will Jett Howard, does Jett Howard's defensive improvements in the G League mean anything? Did he improve at all defensively? Because the G League is such a weird league like that. This is the place where Jett Howard, and it starts in practices in Summer League, obviously, this is the place where Jett Howard begins to prove that he can defend, that he can get to that level. Now, I don't think necessarily Jett Howard has to be a stopper or a great defender yet. He has to show an understanding of where he's supposed to be, leadership in his communication and how he gets to those spots, and just a willingness to defend. Effort is half the battle. Effort is so much of the battle with defense. You put in some effort, your teammates will cover for you. That's the truth of it. And you'll have good defenders around him. Tristan Da Silva should be a good defender. Anthony Black is a good defender. Jarrett Culver is an excellent defender. Jay Huff is a big body behind him if he plays. There's a couple other guys the Magic could look at. Todd Davis could also be a defender behind him as well. Jett Howard just has to show that he's understanding where to be on defense and putting in the effort. That will go a long way to getting him on the floor. Because look, the Magic need the shooting. We all know this. We all know the Magic need the shooting. They drafted Jett Howard to be a shooter. And he's got to be able to make shots. Obviously, that's the start of everything. Make some shots. We will judge him a little bit on his ability to make shots because the Magic need that. Quality of his shots, how he's getting his shots. Jett Howard said that, he understands he will get shots. He's not afraid of, he's not worried about his shots, his ability to get field goal attempts on this team. But he knows if he wants to play next year, if he wants to be on the main roster, if he wants to contribute to this team, it's about his defense. And that's what we will have to watch very carefully as Summer League tips off on Friday. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the film links on podcast to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, follow us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And also be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, for even more Orlando Magic content. You can find that at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Day 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Day now available on the free Fire TV channels app. That's good to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic, we'll talk Jalen Suggs. I want to talk Jalen Suggs and Tavius Caldwell-Pope, and maybe do a little Olympic preview. Maybe talk a little bit about some Franz and Mo Wagner for Team Germany. Goga Batadze and Georgia have already been eliminated, so we might talk some international basketball. We'll see if I want to record after the U.S. game or before it. We'll find out, but whatever we talk about tomorrow, until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.